Hello and welcome to another small game Let's Play. This time we will be playing GIRLKILLER, or Covet. I love that title, like the logo as well. There is a girl who looks like you. Today is the day you are going to kill her. This is an illustrated, erotic, queer, horror, interactive fiction about being trans, among other things, so be prepared for that kind of content. There's no particularly explicit nudity in this, because if there is, I won't be posting the video, because I don't think YouTube likes that too much. But if you're watching this video, it means that it was not particularly graphic as much as it's perhaps descriptive. Start. This game deals with very heavy content and graphic descriptions, as well as stylized images of violence and gore. The content warnings, there are many, so let me speedrun these. Body image descriptions, brief mention of happily family unit, jealousy, stalking, erotomania, kind of, sexual descriptions, euphemisms and imagery, very graphic descriptions of violence, choking, hand on neck, dissociative thinking, identity confusion, intent to murder. Much of the sexual imagery is one-sided or used to depict violent acts upon someone else, so it may evoke similar feelings to sexual assault or dubious consent triggers. This game has 3 roots and 2 endings. The following content warnings contain spoilers for what these are and their contents, but are detailed here so that you can avoid playthroughs with certain content if you need to. This is me having gone back. I did the knife route, so now I'll explicitly say this video contains content warnings for knife threat, knife held to someone's throat, graphic depictions of violence enacted with a knife, stabbing, slashing, cutting, self-harm, cutting, consumption of another person's blood, licking their wounds, literally, and ending content warnings. Interesting. True ending is what I went for, yes. You'll see what that means. So much blood, consumption of another person's blood, forcible undressing, possession, murder, and death. And this being me from post-playing the game, I can confirm that there is abstract imagery, but nothing particularly explicit image-wise in terms of what you are going to be seeing in this video. But enjoy. Oh, I love that background. There is a girl who looks like you. You've watched her for so long, you can't remember your own face. Only hers, which is close enough to your own that it doesn't bother you very much anyway. She acts like you too. You think. Oh, she acts like you too. You think. Same habits, mannerisms, idiosyncrasies, or maybe you began to act like her on purpose. You're not sure at this point where you end and she begins. All you know is that you've been watching her, and you're watching her now. She's at home, her apartment. The windows are tall and wide, naked. The curtains undrawn. She's not afraid of people seeing her. You've caught peeks of her dressing, undressing, catalogued the colours of her bras, and which ones are part of a matching set. You imagine what they would look like on you, and how they would feel unclasping under your fingers, and how they would burn if you simply set fire to it all. Oh, so these are different choices. I don't know if these are exclusive. Can I see all? If I click one. Okay, what they would look like on you, it sets your teeth on edge. How they would feel clasping under your fingers, you want to press your teeth into her skin. And how they would burn if you simply set fire to it all. What are you other than teeth made to tear? Oh. Now, immediately curious if clicking on these is influencing the route, if that is implicitly a choice I am making by dwelling on the thoughts almost. It's morning. She slips into the bathroom, which you, unfortunately, can't see, but you can picture it if you close your eyes. If you let yourself sink into the memory of the social media video she posted, going step by step through her routine. "Get ready with me," she'd titled it, as though inviting you in. You recall the sound of her shower and her satisfied groan she makes stepping into hot water. When she's out, your mind's eye trails down her front, watching the dew on her skin trickle into the lovely space between her breasts. She faces you, stares directly at you, slicks her fingers with serums and lotions, and runs them delicately over her face, her eyes, her lips, putting on a show for you. Gorgeous, confident, smooth and supple. She returns to the main room, pulling a drape over the window into her bedroom, pretending not to know it's sheer enough people can see through it anyway. Her silhouette shimmers as though concealed not by fabric but by a heat haze. The towel drops. She bends over to search through a drawer. You ache to know the shape of her unobscured by things as simple as vision. You're glad, as you watch, that she's spending so long picking an outfit. Nice of her to put in the effort. It is a milestone event for the two of you, after all. Today is the day you're going to kill her. God, the flickering is so good too. How long have you been planning this? Did it start out this way, with this primal need, or has it transformed into something darker? You're not sure. It seems like the only logical progression of your relationship. She reappears in the window, a sundress, red with little white flowers. It's one of her favorites. You grin. This means she'll be... Yes. There she is, pursing her lips into the mirror on her windowsill, applying the matched lipstick with perfect accuracy, accentuating her beautiful teeth, beautiful mouth, needing minimal makeup to bring out her large doe eyes, highlight her flawless skin, pulling out all the stops just for you. A check of the time on her phone, a message saying she's on the way. She's fashionably late, and she'll arrive slightly windblown after the rest of her friends to be the center of attention. You're not certain whether she does this on purpose, but she does it every time. And as she slips on her shoes and jogs out of her house, you follow her almost hurried walk down the street. She approaches the local haunt of her small but tight group, a cute cafe, part of a small chain. Someone decided it was more ethical than their previous place. Everyone else stands to hug her, kiss her cheek, say their hellos and how are yous. Although you enjoy watching her get fawned over, navigate conversation easily, know when to share and when to stay quiet, know when to lay a gentle hand on a shoulder for comfort, know when to laugh loudly or laugh daintily, you've seen this dozens of times. She's the same. Always. Perfect. You have other things to think about anyway, like how you're going to do it. What method? What tools? You know the when and where already. She's leading you there. A slow game. Cat and mouse. Foreplay. But what are you going to do when the time comes? Use my bare hands, a knife, or a weapon of opportunity. Let's go with knife. Knife. Prepared. Messy. You want to slip it within her, feel her insides, let her release. She isn't red enough yet, even in this outfit. After all, this is something you've been thinking about so long, it has to be perfect. As perfect as her. As perfect as the two of you together. Ah, they're getting up. Good timing. You don't need to answer the why of it yet, and you're not sure you could if you tried. Now you can focus on her, here, now, again. She waves goodbye to her friends, hair and skin shining in the sunlight, promising to catch up next week, and though you know she knows it's a lie, with your date later, she delivers it like she believes it's true. Method acting. She has a role to play. The rest of her day goes simply, and it's so easy for you to keep up. It's like she wants you to. She does. She goes clothes shopping, leaving the store with nothing. Usually, this would unnerve you, as it's an occurrence as rare as her having a hair out of place. But it doesn't today. What would be the point? She's wearing the only clothes she'll ever need again. She visits her boyfriend, teases him. They're steady enough, but not so much it infringes on her life. And she only puts out when she really feels like it. She doesn't today. She's saving herself for you. She takes a walk through a park, taking photos as she goes. She's always been one to appreciate natural beauty. Another trait you share with her. The sun is setting later and later these days, so it's not out of the sky yet when it turns to evening and she begins to make her way towards her final destination. You overheard a phone call earlier. She's going home for family dinner. Her family is perfect, of course. Parents still together and in love, friendly relationship with her siblings, grandparents all alive and kicking. Good role models. How else does one become perfect? You're about to find out. And they all have catch-up dinners regularly, like a good little unit, loving and caring and genuine. You want to raise it to the ground, you want to burn with them. She takes a bus there. It's a simple ride. They're all in the same area too, for convenience and for support. It's sweet and sickening, but it's good for you because you're used to this. Familiar territory. It makes it easy to slip onto the bus, to follow her off at her stop, to slink in the shadows behind her as she steps up to the door and opens it. It always gets unlocked when they're expecting visitors and calls out a greeting. It's child's play for you to hop the fence and sneak into the back where there are plenty of bushes to hide behind. And, lucky for you, the dining room in this house faces the yard, with big, open conservatory windows for you to get a nice clear view through, and one is left cracked enough that you can hear snippets of conversation too. It's a pleasant dinner, but you get bored with waiting. You feel your eyes slipping closed, hear in the distance an indication of the family going on a walk, leaving the girl behind as she dutifully takes her turn to clean up the dishes. Now would be a great time to pounce. If only you could stay awake. If only you could. Everything is dark, and then you're inside. When did you come in? You don't know. You're just here. Suddenly, a realization that this is where you've always been, where you're meant to be, with her. For real this time, not watching. You glance around. Your heart knows this room as well as it knows how to beat. Trophies from sports, fashion, contests, academics, pictures of her, her family, her friends, all smiling, all perfect. Knickknacks and decor, pink and white and girly. She's always been this way. But you've always been here too. She hasn't noticed you yet. She's busy looking around the room, laying her hand gently on items and images from her past, turned as she is from you, bathed in the mellow glow of childhood fairy lights reflecting on blush-colored walls. She seems more teenage, her hair more downy than glossy perfection, her sundress more innocent than flattering, her form slighter, smoother. And then finally she turns, her eyes finding yours. For a split second you see her face, your face, 10 years younger, features soft and pure, and then she grows up in an instant. Her expression is briefly surprised before settling into careful neutrality. She's perfect, composed. Even now, she won't let you see how scared you know she is. Not unless you make her. Not unless you ruin her. "Who are you?" she says, voice cautious, controlled. You tilt your head just slightly and smile. "Do you really need to ask?" She licks her lips. Your eyes dart down to watch the movement. Pink on red on skin on flesh, and you feel yourself start to get excited. She's nervous. Cute. What are you doing here? Where else would I be? You ask, taking a step closer. She backs up into the dresser. Jewelry rattles, photos fall over. The mirror wobbles. I thought I saw you watching. Confirmation. Your smile widens. I just never expected you to. She swallows. You watch the delicate flutter of her throat. No, you knew, you retort, stepping closer. She inhales, backed against the wall, with you between her and the door. You knew this would happen eventually. You were just pretending it wouldn't. Pretending I wouldn't come for you. Pretending is all you do. That's not fair. She's afraid, yes, but there's a rage there, shimmering under her skin. Is she mad? Oh, this is separate. This will remain even when she is gone. Is she mad at you, herself, the world? All three. Her eyes are bright, still, and resolute. She will not go down easy. A laugh bubbles up through you, out of you, solitary at first, then joined by more and more and more, like a vein cut, dripping, pressed to gurgle out a river. Princess, you coo, coming close enough to lift your hand, put a knuckle under her chin, tilt her head gently upwards, making her look more defiant while putting you more in control. How long can you contain yourself? How long has she contained you? You almost expected something to happen when you touched. Fireworks? An explosion? An implosion? But there's nothing except for the feeling of her skin, warm against yours. I know you better than anyone. Better than your friends. Better than your boyfriend. Better than your family. Better than yourself. You think I don't know when you're lying? Her jaw tenses and you feel it. It sends a thrill through you. What do you want? She spits, and you almost wish her venom were tangible, physical, so you could feel the ecstasy of her unmaking you the way you are about to do to her. You move closer again, close enough to feel the radiating heat from her body. I think you know that too. There. The flicker of recognition and fear in her eyes. All this time, she's seen you in the shadows, known your gaze was on her, known your intentions, and all this time she's ignored you, pushed you down, acted like nothing had changed. You feel your anger rise within you. Your rage is her rage, is the rage of both of you together. She's furious you exist. You're furious she still does. And that she's been so determined all this time to live her careful masquerade of normalcy. How dare she? How dare she? But this means she's been thinking about you. This means she's put on a facade because of you. This means that all of the show she's put on for the world, her whole performance, she's been doing for you. Knowing you're in the audience, all your attention on her. Something in her, how deep, how repressed, is enjoying this as much as you are. It makes you grin. You think you see the corner of her lip twitch up too, your beautiful reflection. But if it does, she tamps it down as fast as she can. Even now, she has to show the world, you, that she's still a good girl, pure, light. She doesn't have any bad thoughts, or violent ones, or ones that could forever change the way people see her. That's okay, though. You're here to free her from that. You're here to save her, to save yourself, to perfect by ruining, to become through unbecoming. Any last words? You purr, leaning into her space, hand moving from under her chin to around her throat. You're gentle about it. For now. Fuck you. She swallows under your grip. Eager. Well, who am I to deny you consummation? And so you begin. You're not sure when you grabbed it, but the knife in your other hand has weight, heft, form, and yet, when you slide it into her abdomen, it goes effortlessly. A swimmer seamless into water. She lets out a shuddering exhale and you breathe her air in. You pull the blade out slow, teasing, and watch as the red bleeds through her dress, darkens it, turns the white flowers crimson. It's not enough. Impatient, you hold the knife up to her throat so she won't move, removing your palm from her invisible Adam's apple to drag your fingers down her body, stopping at the gap you've made. It's thin, blood trickling out. You need it to pour. So you look directly into her eyes and, feeling your way, dip your fingers into her skin. You watch her eyelids flicker closed, her mouth open into a groan, her head tilt back even as it presses her neck into the knife. Blood now flows from her new opening, encouraged by your exploring touch. Sundress dusking, blossoms disappearing, dripping into the carpet below. You finally hurt her. Your echo, your twin, your soulmate. She's wounded in front of you, head lolling backwards, arms limp at her sides. Even with all of her earlier belligerence, she's submitted to you. To you now. She's yours. You're hers. You're yours. You finally made your mark. Your mark, not hers. You've affected the world, changed something, but it's still not enough. All it will take is a little more effort. Do it. You slide your hand underneath her armpits and around her back, hoisting her off the dresser she's leaning on and bringing her over to the pristine bed. For a moment, it's like you're hugging, touching skin, sharing warmth, her head resting on your shoulder. It's almost nice. It's almost right. When you place her on the comforter, you notice some of her blood has dripped onto you, and you touch it, wonder at it, cherish it for the gift it is, swiping it with a finger and dabbing it on your tongue. Metallic, viscous, sweet as cherry wine. She's conscious, but she's barely acting like it. Splayed out, eyes hazy and half-lidded and dazed, hair spread around her like a halo, a scarlet outline slowly seeping from her body. Ophelia on a sanguine river, little flowers strewn across her body, white poppies on her dress next to ones turned red. Not dead yet, though. You straddle her, brandishing the knife, reflections of the fairy lights on the walls gleaming on the surface. You caress her face with it, gently over a cheekbone, hear the faint scrape of it against her. She is pristine. She is perfect. She will be even more so when you are done with her. You start with one little cut diagonally on her neck, from the scalene muscle to her collarbone. Shallow. Careful. You want her to drip slowly, not hemorrhage. You make another cut, parallel, lower. You drag the knife over her skin, relish in the way it splits beneath your tool, admire the marks you make. You keep going, and going. You travel across her body, gently push her dress out of the way before deciding to simply slice it down the middle, leaving her wearing it like a coat over underwear. the sultry surprise at the door. You trace carmine patterns all over, following the curves of her, the planes of her, the dips and divots and dimples. She whimpers underneath you. Sometimes you allow yourself to draw your tongue over the lines you've made, press into her, taste her, but you do not allow yourself to get distracted. Because she was art before, but now she is your art. Her beauty belongs to you. Her blood belongs to you. You shuffle back on your knees and take stock of your painting. She is no longer a girl. She is no longer a person at all. She is simply the result of your creation. Is she dead now? You're not sure. You don't think you'd be able to feel a pulse anywhere, anyway, bleeding out as she is. That's okay, though. You just needed to make enough room for yourself. You make tiny cuts on your own skin, little markings to match her. On your arms, your legs, your torso, you score a thin vertical line into her forehead and a horizontal one onto yours. You calibrate yourself to her. You have already calibrated her to you. You place the knife down, finally, feeling its ghost in your hand even as you position yourself above her, aligning the incisions that link the two of you. You take a deep breath in, and you let yourself sink. You almost expect it not to work. You almost expect to drop and smash your face into hers, collide and collapse in a heap, all that effort pointless. Almost. So it's a little bit of a surprise when, as your body touches hers in all the right places, you sink into her. She feels like molasses as you go, syrupy and sticky, sucking you into the emptiness you crafted. Your form liquefies, fills in gaps, slithers into crevices until you are her, are full, are satisfied. You open your eyes. You are lying on the bed. You sit up, looking at your hands. They are unblemished, perfect, as is your dress, red with white little flowers. You stand in limbs that feel almost like your own. You walk to the mirror. In this perfect room, there is one perfect girl. She stares back at you in the reflection, and she looks exactly like you. End. That was really good. Very intense. I am immediately curious how different the roots are, because I don't think there's a quick way to the top. I would have just gone to the title screen if I could. I might be missing something though. That might be my bad. It makes me immediately curious how different the other methods of, I guess, murder, but that feels slightly off from what's happening here. The other tools, say, that you can use, especially the fact that one of them was just to use something that was opportune in the moment, given the room you're in and how the room is representative of the kind of extremely the room reflects the persona that is a very normative persona, so I could very much imagine the tool picked up in that moment could be very interesting. I want to go check those out. I will not record all of them because I think it's fun to do a little bit, and then I recommend you go check some of these out, see how this might go other ways. I'm particularly curious on if I'm right or wrong about the possibility of clicking the red text having any influence on the ending. I suspect it's not the case, given that we got more explicit choices, but I'm curious to play around with that. And so this was GIRLKILLER, Covet by LSDex. I will link it in the description of the video. Go check it out. Rate this on Itch.io. because it's really good. And comment if you liked it. Play it yourself. Check out the other games by this same person. But that is all for this video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.